Yontif, friends. Chag Sameach. It's good to be with you. I hope that you and your loved ones are all well. We have a wonderful confirmation class that have been working very hard for many months to bring to you what promises to be a beautiful service on this Shavuot morning, in keeping with the traditions of our people and the traditions of our congregation. It's a joy to have spent this year with them, and I know we're also totally proud of them as a group. They're extraordinary. Just a couple of notes regarding our service. One, you should have a packet in your hands. That's all you need in your hands. That's where the entirety of the service is located, including our Torah reading. So by all means, take the packet in your hands, participate in our service, join in the singing, join in the reading. Your prayer deserves to be heard. Another note, we're going to ask that you please keep your mask on throughout the service to ensure everyone's safety. Those of us who are actively leading the service will not be wearing a mask, but we're asking you to please do wear a mask. We're also asking you please to keep your phone off, if at all possible, throughout the service. Another piece, which I think is really important, and I'm so proud of the class for this, is that they decided collectively, for the first time in our congregation's history, to all wear the same color, not a boy's color and a girl's color. And they're doing this as really an affirmation of the idea that gendered separation is antiquated and plays into stereotypes, and we don't need to perpetuate those stereotypes here on the Bima. So they're all wearing blue. And the other piece I'll note is that for the first time they're all carrying, as they will in 1 second, sunflowers into the sanctuary with them on this morning. The sunflowers meant to be a gesture of solidarity with the people of Ukraine and the Jewish community of Ukraine, who've endured a horrific suffering over these last many months. So for all these reasons and more, I'm so proud of them. I'm so honored to be just a part of this group and a part of this community with them. And we're all in for a very special treat. With that, please rise for the start of our service.
Seated. Long ago, on this festival of Shavuot, our mothers and fathers rejoiced as they brought the first fruits of their harvest to the temple. They brought the finest fruits from their orchards and vineyards. In this way, they expressed their reverence for the beauty of nature and the mystery of life. They also were proclaiming their gratitude for the earth's continual renewal and rebirth. We, too, follow this tradition as we bring our flowers into this sanctuary. But the harvest we bring is a spiritual harvest, symbolic of our desire to give ourselves, our hearts and minds, our wills and strength to the service of our people. Beautiful flowers, soft with the dew of morn, cold and green. As a flower needs water, sunshine, and love to grow, so too do we as Jews need tradition, celebration, and nourishment.
That Prayer has nothing to do with words. Prayer is not formed by speech. What is prayer? Prayer is the way you hold your head, offer your hand, whisper love, say goodbye. What is prayer? Prayer is the beauty of creation. Prayer is life. What is prayer? All of creation and life. Daven well.
Please rise. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hambarach, Baruch Adonai Hambarach Le'olam Va'ed. Bless Adonai the Blessed One, blessed is Adonai the Blessed One forever and ever. Please be seated.
Judaism begins with the commandment, Shema Yisrael, hear, O Israel. But what does it really mean to hear? The person who attends a concert with his mind on business hears, but does not really hear. The person who walks amidst the songs of birds and thinks only of what she will have for dinner hears, but does not really hear. O God, strengthen our ability to hear. May we hear the music of the world and then the infant's cry and the lover's sigh. May we hear the call for help of the lonely soul and the sound of the breaking heart. Hear the promises we make to you this day, O God, and may we hear them too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we gather here today to honor the memory of reading the wrong speech. Sorry, 1 second, please. Speak slowly, projecting for beginners. Here. Hi, how you doing? Good, good. I'm doing good. My name is Ryan, and I want to talk to you today about a discussion that we had in class regarding the 4 children. Obviously, this took place in the weeks preceding Passover, but I felt it was a worthy topic to speak of today. Let's go over the themes of the 4 children. Every Passover, we read about, 4 different children. These children are the very humble, wise child, the innocent child, the one who does not know how to ask, and the wicked child. Hi, Karen. I'm sure she's out there. There's a lot of speculation over what these 4 children represent, and I'm sure each of you have your own interpretations of them. Traditionally, each of the 4 children embody different approaches to the Passover Seder. I asked Maura Cindy for her opinion on the 4 children, and she told me that they represent human nature. However, when I asked my father the very same question, he told me they represent the stages of a person's life. I think they're both correct, but why? Well, the 4 children are explained so very broadly that no one can truly know what they're originally meant to symbolize. Personally, I like the idea of the 4 children, but it's so difficult to understand. So much so that while I was writing this speech, I found it very frustrating to try to describe them. I had less trouble with the first speech, but that's for a different matter. Take, for example, the child who does not know how to ask. They could be a toddler who hasn't learned how to speak yet, but they could also be the child who cannot ask, which could come from a result of some medical condition or mental illness. Or they could just be a young child who does not know what to ask because they haven't fully developed yet. The point of these simple categories is to allow for a variety of perspectives on the 4 children. In the end, the 4 children means something different to all of us. They're our sons and our daughters, they're young and they're old, and they're everything in between. Rabbi David suggested that each of the 4 children can have a positive meaning. Sometimes it's best not to say much. Sometimes it's better to push back and be a rebel. Sometimes we need to educate those around us, and sometimes we need to learn from them. So you're sitting here listening to me ramble for a few minutes, and I'm a teenager. I commend you on your patience. But the reason you're here listening to my spiel is because we are getting confirmed. That's worth some praise. Okay. But what even is confirmation in Judaism? I'm sure you're all aware of what a Christian confirmation is, but maybe you haven't heard the Jewish adaptation. In Judaism, usually in Reformed Judaism, confirmation is like a B'nai Mitzvah, but the honorees are much more mature, much more like an adult. Whoever thought it was okay to have a 13-year-old be an adult? Half of them can't tie their shoes. Confirmation is quite literally confirming you are a Jewish adult. We spent the last third of our time together this year preparing for this service, but we had almost a whole school year of weekly meetings where we related the Torah and the Talmud to modern issues and discussions. I got the chance to have some really in-depth discussions of modern issues. Stepping back for a second, though, before I was in confirmation class, I wasn't really very close to my classmates. But this year I formed such strong bonds with them that I realized just how much I've been missing without engaging with them. I've had a lot of fun with this class, and I will miss our Wednesday meetings. I was proud to go down this path, guided, of course, by our fabulous rabbi. I was given the chance to learn a lot about problems in our society, and how traditional and even non-traditional Jewish teachings guide us in these issues in life. I would have never made those connections, and my door to Judaism has been opened wider than it has ever been before because of this. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Mitchell. We rehearsed that, and I still... The topic I've chosen to discuss today is my understanding of God. What is God and who is God are two of the toughest questions to answer when talking about Judaism. The Jewish view is a God that cannot be seen or touched, only imagined. Our relationship with God as Jews is a personal and unique thing to each of us. From the time of the Torah, our people have been debating the very idea of God. In Genesis, we find Jacob wrestling with God, or an emissary of God, which is symbolic of what so many of us feel. The typical view of God, though, in the media is one of an old man with a long white beard atop a throne above the clouds. This has never really been what I have pictured, though. What I have pictured is a God that cannot be seen or touched, but a God that is an internal feeling inside of us. To me, the reason God is unique to all of us is because God is something different, is different to all of us. Can God really control every little thing that happens and when all of those things happen? I don't know. I don't know if God can or cannot, but all I do know is that what we can control is ourself and our own actions. I don't think we should wait around and pray for God to give us better health and better grades. We should act, and we should take action. We should put that effort in to get healthier, to study harder, to do our best. And I can guarantee you that if you put in that effort to get those goals of yours, good things will happen to you. Though God may not or may be able to just instantly make things happen, putting in a little bit of effort from your side will create better things, and it will make people give people notice of your hard work and your generosity of spirit. This confirmation year has been one of the best years of my religious school journey. I moved to New Jersey at the beginning of 8th grade and was able to take part in 2 years of teen night. But in teen night, we chose our own electives, so we were never really together as a class. But getting a year of just our confirmation class, Rabbi David, and Morris Cindy has been an extremely fun year and a year to remember. I am so thankful I was able to be a part of it. Thank you.
Please rise. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Blessed is the glorious name, your majesty is forever. Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך וברכתך בדרך ושוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
The topic I chose to share with you today is cheating. We spent one of our sessions this year discussing this important issue. It's an issue that affects me and most teens I know. Cheating is a widespread problem throughout high school, and most teenagers have tried to get away with it at one point or another. 70,000 students across the United States were surveyed about if they have cheated or not in school, and 95% of those teenagers admitted to trying to cheat in some capacity at least once. This topic is an important one to me because I personally believe in fairness and honesty, and cheating flies in the face of all of that. It goes against the Jewish values of integrity, trustworthiness, and reliability. The issue, in fact, appears at various points of the Torah. For example, we see it in the story of Jacob and Esau, when Jacob deceived his brother Esau for the sake of a blessing. We also read about Laban lying to Jacob and promising that he can marry Leah. In life, cheating isn't the ethical way to get things done. It doesn't show what we're really capable of achieving. It is the easy way out. Why take the easy road? I believe we should work to get to the goals we want to conquer so there can be a real and genuine achievement in the end. Speaking of honesty, if I'm being honest, I will say that I was very hesitant this year to join the confirmation class, but I'm so glad that I did. I learned to have a different perspective on life and to look at it in a better and more positive way. Confirmation class has been such a safe space, and I have made stronger friendships with people in our Jewish family. This year, we discussed a lot of current problems and topics, and I know that it has been extremely impactful on me and the class. I had a great time every Wednesday catching up with everyone in class and getting to know each other more and more each week. This class has really changed me as a person, and I am forever grateful and so happy I got to spend this year with amazing friends and be a part of Rabbi's last and best confirmation class.
For those of you who may not know me, my name is Hannah Foster. And Rabbi David specifically told us not to introduce ourselves because everyone's supposed to know us, but it felt necessary. This morning, I chose to share with you the conversations our class had with Representative Andy Kim. He was the last of the 7 speakers who spent time with our class. We spoke to leaders of Fellowship Community Church, Pastor Greg Faulkner, and even Rabbi Jerry David. Each presenter shared an aspect of their life or their work that was eye-opening. However, I looked forward to writing and reading speeches to our Congressman Andy Kim the most due to the fact that our confirmation trip to DC was canceled due to COVID-19. On this trip, we were going to be presenting our speeches to the Congressman's staff in his DC office. After the trip was canceled, Rabbi David noted that he had been communicating with Andy Kim's team to get us a chance to share our speeches directly with the Congressman himself. To prepare for our meeting, my peers and I wrote speeches on topics we could relate to and felt the need to address. We wrote in small groups. Mitchell and I spoke on anti-Semitism based on anti-Semitic incidents that occurred in our schools. Rebecca Wargo also wrote on anti-Semitism, but with a regard to how it affects her Jewish identity. Jordan and Sophia discussed on how being educated on religions other than Judaism helps prevent misinterpretations and stereotyping. Ryan and Melissa talked about LGBTQ+ rights and how important they are. We wanted to make sure that our congressional representative was aware of the issues that meant a lot to us as Jews and future voters. He took the time out of his very busy schedule to hear us out and share his opinions on our topics. We felt it was important that he was aware of how teenagers in South Jersey feel and what we carry around with us as Jews. It was so exciting and made me feel special to be able to say that I spoke with Andy Kim to bring awareness to such an important issue. And I'm sure the others feel the same. I also recognize that this is something our parents and grandparents could never have imagined, that we as a Jewish community would have access to and a relationship with a sitting member of Congress. Confirmation has been the highlight of my week since the first day. My brother was confirmed in 2020 after being delayed by the pandemic. Since then, I've been so excited to be confirmed. To be completely honest, it was mainly because of the DC trip and how much fun he had on it, but sadly ours was canceled, and hopefully we can go next year. On November 2nd of 2021, I had a major hip surgery, and I wasn't sure when I would be able to get back to confirmation. I was heartbroken. I was more upset and worried about not being able to come on Wednesdays than I was about getting the actual surgery. My surgery was the week of Teachers Convention, so we didn't have confirmation that Wednesday. Rabbi David, he came to see me in the hospital and said that the class was pulling for me. I was discharged from the hospital and told my mom that I wanted to go to confirmation because I didn't want to miss the fun. My mom agreed and I went, wheelchair and all. Over the year, I became closer with the entire class. At the beginning of this year, I would have never thought that a class once a week would make me such great friends with everyone. However, I was very wrong. I am sad that the year is now over, but I know that I will remain close with these people, as even now, we talk and text all the time. I'm so glad that I made these friends, and I'm so glad that the confirmation class was such a powerful experience for all of us. We continue with Micha Mocha.
Shiro kodo shoshi be
rise. Adonai sifatek tifta ufi agite hilatecha. Adonai, open up our lips, and our mouth will declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel. Ha'el ha'gadol ha'gibor v'hanora, El Elyon, gomel hasadim tovim, v'konei hakol, v'zoher ha'se'avot v'imahot, u'mevi gula livnei b'nehem, leman shemo be'ahava, melech ozer u'mashiach u'magid, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham Bezrat Sarah.
Please be seated.
I chose the topic of responsible uses of social media because I believe that people need to be careful and stay safe when using social media. When I first started going on social media, I met people who wanted to be my friend, to friend me. I realized that these so-called friends were strangers and were not really my friends. They wouldn't have my best interest at heart, and I wasn't sure that what information they would try to get from me. It is important to know who your real friends are before accepting a friend request from a stranger. Here are some facts about teens using social media. 1 in 4 teens is a heavy social media user, using at least 2 different types of social media each day. 51% of teens visit social media networking sites on a daily basis. More than a third of teens visit their main social media network site several times a day. For many teens, social media can become almost addictive. In a study by researchers at the UCLA Brain Mapping Center, they found that certain regions of teen brains became addicted by likes on social media, sometimes causing them want to use social media more. If not used correctly, social media can put teens in a lot of danger. People always need to be cautious when communicating with others they do not know. No personal information should ever be shared, including inappropriate pictures. People may not realize that what is said on social media does not go away. It can always be found. When used appropriately, social media is a great tool for teens. For this reason, it is important for all teens to use social media safely. This was a very good year for me, and I loved being a part of the confirmation class. I learned a lot and grew as a Jew and a person. Thank you to everyone who helped to make it possible, including Morris, Cindy, and Rabbi David.
Good morning, everyone. Throughout our confirmation year, many different speakers came to talk with us each week. They shared their life stories and experiences and gave us a look at what their lives are really like. We had some really cool speakers like Congressman Andy Kim and Rabbi Jerry David, Rabbi David's super cool dad. But one speaker whose message really stuck with me was when Pastor Greg Faulkner came and presented to our class. It was really fascinating to see how similar we are, and yet how little I really knew about Christianity. I know so many people who follow this religion, but I never really stopped to think about exactly what Christians believed. After Pastor Greg Faulkner told us his story, we got to ask him whatever questions we wanted to. I remember that he was so kind in answering our questions, and he really wanted to teach us more about his culture and religion. After his visit, I remember thinking to myself on the car ride home from confirmation that there was really so much that I didn't know about other people and their religions. And throughout the rest of our speakers, I really wanted to learn as much as I could, and I'm so glad that I did. This confirmation year has really been incredible. I've known most of the people up here with me today since I was really little. It's crazy to think that we all ended up here together. Not only was confirmation a great way for me to see my friends every week, but it was an amazing experience that taught me so much about myself and the world around me. Rabbi David has an amazing way of teaching and communicating with us as a class. He takes our Jewish lessons and interprets them so they connect to our everyday lives as teens, and I think that this is the reason why I really enjoyed confirmation so much. Although we were unable to go on our class trip to Washington, D.C. to meet up with other Jewish teens across the East Coast, thanks a lot, COVID, I'm so glad that we were still able to participate in our confirmation year in person and as a big group. I can't wait to see what comes next for all of us. Thank you. We continue with Sim Shalom.
What I chose to share with you today is peer pressure. While a lot of us, including myself, have amazing friends who we wouldn't change for the world, it's really easy to fall into the wrong crowd. Peer pressure is one of the many issues that teens must navigate. I chose this topic because it is something that as a 16-year-old girl in high school, I see all too much. Just do it for me, or I'm only making you do this because I care about you, is something we as high schoolers hear all too often from people who are supposed to care about us, but don't always have our best interests at heart. Whether it be our friends, family, or significant others, we find ourselves doing things only to please them when on our own we would not be partaking in these actions. Peer pressure is something that is on the rise. Studies show that 90% of teens have experienced peer pressure. When in these situations, it is vital to listen to yourself and make sure you know how you're feeling. Communication is key. Letting the people around you know how you're feeling about what's going on could possibly cure the situation. Taking a step back and making sure that you have friends who have similar beliefs and values as you can ultimately be the key to success. It is important as a society to educate the teens in our lives and make sure they know how to safely handle these situations. As we discussed in our confirmation class, Judaism urges us to stick to our own sense of self and follow Jewish values rather than what's necessarily popular. For the past 3 years, I've been coming to Addith every Wednesday night for classes, but I have to say, I've never genuinely enjoyed coming as much as I did this year. Over the course of the school year, me and the other teens on the Bema have been attending confirmation class. I truly look forward to coming to Addith every Wednesday night because of the amazing class and energy Rabbi and my beautiful mother, Morris Cindy, provided for us. From check-ins to guest speakers to creating and reading speeches for Congressman Andy Kim, this class has taught me so much. This year gave me the opportunity to make unbreakable connections with not only my religion but with my friends. This year also opened my eyes to so much, including other religions and issues going on in today's world. In this day and age, education is everything, and I am so beyond blessed and grateful that I got the opportunity to not only be so much more educated than I was before, but to have experienced it with such wonderful people. This year's confirmation program meant absolutely everything to me, and I will miss and cherish it so much in years to come.
The topic I chose to share with you today is Tu B'Shvat and protecting the environment. This is one of the many areas we covered over the course of this year. I chose to focus on this topic because I find protecting and replenishing the environment to be critical in these modern times. As you may know, Tu B'Shvat is the New Year of the Trees. Its purpose is to spread ecological awareness. In Israel, trees are planted in celebration, and here in Addith and in Jewish communities around the world, we hold a Tu B'Shvat Seder to honor and learn about the importance of nature. Protecting the environment is very important, especially now. My generation is the one that will be affected tomorrow by how we treat our earth today. In Judaism, repairing our world, or tikkun olam, is a moral imperative. Protecting our environment with our choices and behavior fits into this. When the Mishnah was written in the year 200, there were references to the New Year of the Trees, showing how our earth and keeping it clean were to be at the essence of Judaism. For me, confirmation has been a place to further explore my Judaism and grow my world perspective. Although I had to miss part of the year, I learned a lot in the time that I was here. Some things that have stuck out to me this year was learning about anti-Semitism and using social media wisely. Another thing that stuck out to me was getting issues most important to us as Jewish teens. These things all made me think about Judaism and the morals around it in new ways. Thank you to everyone who helped me reach this special day in my Jewish journey. Please pray silently.
We continue with our Torah service. In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it. Please rise.
Shavuot has us celebrate Moses receiving the Torah from God and bring it to the Jewish people, awaiting him at the foot of Mount Sinai. The Torah portion we traditionally read, therefore, on Shavuot morning is the Ten Commandments, which comes to us from the book of Exodus, chapter 20. We have a number of wonderful Torah readers here for us today. You can follow the Torah reading by turning in your packet to our page that denotes Torah reading. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamorach, Baruch Adonai Hamorach Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Adonai Hamorach Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Vaydaber Elohim et kol hadvarim ha'ele lemor. Anohi Adonai Elohecha asher hotzeticha me'eretz Mitzrayim mabat avadim lo yeh lecha Elohim acharim al panai lo ta'aseh lecha fes v'chol timuna asher bashamayim mimal ve'asher ba'eretz mitachat ve'asher ba'amayim mitachat la'aretz.
Lo tistahave lahem, velo havotem, ki anohi Adonai Elohecha Elkanah hokei avon avod abavim asheleshim ve'areveim lefanecha lahava shet ve'shet lecharim ve'favim mitzvah
Lo tisa et shem Adonai Elohecha lashav ki lo yenake Adonai et asher yisach et shemo lashav zachor et yom hashabbat lakadesho sheshet yamim ta'avod ve'asita chol melachtecha.
B'yom hasheve'i Shabbat l'Adonai Elohecha lo ta'aseh chol melacha ata uvincha uvitecha avdecha va'ametecha ve'emtecha v'geirecha asher bisharecha ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et ha'aretz et hayom ve'et kol asher bam vayanach bayom hasheve'i al kein barach Adonai et yom hashabbat v'kedesheu.
I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of slavery. You will not have any other gods before me. You will not make any idols out of the images of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth below, or that is in the waters underneath the earth. Do not bow down to them. Do not serve them.
Do not use the name of Adonai your God when making a false promise, because Adonai will not clear a person who uses Adonai's name to a lie. Remember the Shabbat, make it holy. You may labor for 6 days and do all your work, but the 7th day is Shabbat to Adonai your God. Don't do any labor, you or your son or your daughter, your manservant or your womanservant, or your beast, nor the strangers in your cities. Because in 6 days Adonai made the heavens and earth, and all which is rested on them and rested. On the 7th day, because of this, Adonai blessed the Shabbat and made it holy.
Honor your father and your mother, so that your days will be long in the land which Adonai your God gives you. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not lie about your neighbor in an oath. Do not wish to take over your neighbor's house. Do not wish to take over your neighbor's spouse, or anything that belongs to your neighbors.
rise, everyone. At this important moment in our service before returning our Torah to the Ark, we pause in order to offer a prayer for healing for those in our lives, those in our community in need of healing. Perhaps there is someone close to you who is struggling in some way, hurting in some way, physically, emotionally, or otherwise. Now's the time we pray for them, and we pray together in the name of their return to strength and wellness. If there is someone for whom you offer a mishaberach this Shavuot morning, please feel free to share that name as my glance meets your own. We join together in our prayer for healing, mishaberach. Ask everyone to rise again so that we can now return our Torah to the Ark.
It is a tree of life to them that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to them that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
You may be seated. My name is Rabbi Benjamin David. When I stood up on the day of my confirmation in the spring of 1993, 29 years ago, I was really, really nervous. I was a pretty quiet kid, but I wanted to be a good sport. So I helped lead the service with my classmates. I gave a short speech like everyone else. If on the outside I looked relatively polished and demure in my robe, on the inside I was churning with uncertainty and with tension. It wasn't just about the service, of course. I didn't know where life would take me. I barely knew if I could get through another week of 10th grade. I felt what teens today feel so often: overwhelmed, stressed out. I felt tired. I felt all of that even as the world was a much simpler place back then. No cell phones, no social media, no COVID. There were two major political parties like today, but those parties talked with each other and passed legislation together, a far cry from the searing division we find today. There were no electric cars. There was no Venmo. Amazon would be founded a year later. Yitzhak Rabin was the Prime Minister of Israel, a leader staunchly committed to peace and to partnership. He would be assassinated tragically in the fall of 1995. The lives that you live now move at twice the speed mine did as a teenager. The pressure you are under is just greater. You're more visible due to Instagram, Snapchat. Your every decision is magnified. The burden you carry when it comes to relationships and sports and clubs and SATs and acceptance letters is all greater. You live at hyperspeed, and every day you walk the line of total burnout to one side and athletic, academic, and social achievement to the other side. For your parents, it's terrifying. And for me, your rabbi, it's terrifying. Which is why I'm so glad you decided to take part in confirmation this year. You gave yourself the gift of an hour a week that was not about what team you made or which AP classes you're taking or who has the most followers, but rather a place and a time where you can just be you. Vulnerable, smart, questioning, honest. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Wednesday night was my favorite night of the week all year. We would come into the library, we would close the door and sit around our table. We'd first do our check-in, acknowledging what we were up to and what was on our mind that week. Then we'd get to our topic of the night: bullying, cheating, peer pressure, faith, prayer, Israel, the environment, LGBT rights, and all through the lens of Torah and Jewish tradition. In the middle of the year, we welcomed various communal leaders to hear about their life and their views, from Congressman Andy Kim to Pastor Greg Faulkner, from Imam Wakas Kershid to my own father, my own very cool father. Someone said that. I'll tell him you said that. Rabbi Jerome David. From Hillary Platt, who spoke about healthy relationships, to Pastor Mike Candy of the Fellowship Church. We even heard from our own Rachel Kennedy and April Kelly, so we could learn what life is like for them as part of multiple minority communities. We had conversations that challenged us, educated us, inspired us. We barraged our visitors with our questions, coming always from a place of inquisitiveness and respect. They were the kinds of conversations most people never get to have. As we turned toward the end of the year, we started to prepare for today. We wrote, we edited, we practiced a little more, and then a little more. We chatted in our group text, and well, here we are. As we celebrate Moses bringing the Torah to the Israelites, today you are bringing to all of us your sense of wisdom, your sense of justice, your understanding of Jewish identity. The Reform movement has used this day as an opportunity to offer an updated bar and bat mitzvah of sorts, beginning with the very first confirmation service, which took place in Germany in the year 1803. The first in America happened in 1846 and has become a fabric of our Reform movement. But this day is not about history. Today is all about the future. You guys, as a class, are absolutely everything. Funny, caring, compassionate. You see through all the nonsense. You are working each in your own way toward a world that's more close-knit, more peaceful, and more hospitable. Over the year, I watched you stand a little taller, look each other in the eye, not slouching over your phone or checking out. In a world of pettiness, grudges, insecurity, I watched you rise to another level, one of emotional maturity, abounding sincerity, and much earnestness. This was, and will forever be, my last confirmation class at Adith, and no doubt my favorite class ever, in a tie with every other year. I feel so lucky that my job consists of all of it. Learning with you and from you, laughing with you, getting a chance to hear you guys just where you are. I feel so fortunate, and I want you to know this, and I mean this. I will remember our year together forever. I will, and I hope you remember it forever too. My prayer for you on this day of so many prayers, I pray that you always have the courage to lead, that you always have the courage to be yourself, that you know when to say yes and when to say no. I pray that you worry less about being liked and more about the principles of our people. I pray that you remember to let go of anger, to forgive when you should, to apologize when you should. I pray that you don't ever sell yourself short, and that you don't settle. I pray that one day you look back on our confirmation picture, maybe 29 years from now, and you remember your strength, your sense of resilience, and the great power you have within you to bring change to our world. Amen. I'm going to ask the class now to rise where they are to share with us an affirmation of faith. I'm going to welcome forward at this time Abby Wolf and Micah Buckdahl to make a presentation on behalf of the congregation.
Okay, good morning. Wednesday nights were also my favorite night of the week this year, so thank you guys for being part of that. When I first started working at Addith, this group of mature teenagers was just finishing 5th grade. As the years have passed, I've had the pleasure of watching them start middle school, become bar and bat mitzvahs, and remain committed to Jewish life here at Addith. In the middle of their 8th grade year, the pandemic hit, but they were still here in spirit. The following fall, they experienced, the only people ever to experience virtual teen night. They were still here and still committed to their Jewish education. Some of them were virtual, then in person, then virtual, then in person, majuchim on Sunday mornings for our younger students. They powered through that and kept up with their own learning. This year, we were back in person, but their Washington trip was canceled. Through it all, through sickness and surgeries, sports and studying, they always made their way here on Wednesday nights to learn and laugh together. I am so proud of their resilience and their commitment. What an achievement and what wonderful young adults they have become. On behalf of the entire Addith Religious School, Mazel Tov to the confirmation class of 5782. So I will call your names. Please come on over and take your gift from the school. I do not have a list, so I'm just going to go like this. Ryan Antonoff. Mitchell Barra. Jordan Broyles. Hannah Foster. Rebecca Horowitz. Lissa Krasner. Sophia Rosenberg. And Rebecca Wargo.
It is our honor to present a new yad for our new Torah and a leaf that will be displayed in the lobby.
We hope these gifts from our class to the synagogue will enhance Jewish life in our congregation for years to come. Please rise for Alina.
Shalom,
When I die, if you need to cry, cry for someone walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around others and give to them what you need to give to me.
On Shavuot morning, it is customary that we do observe Yisker, a moment of remembrance, and we do indeed remember in our heart the many we have loved and lost. And we recall at this time of Yisker those we have lost over the course of this year, including Louis Walensky, Barry Zaleski, Shelley Goldstein, Jamie Hans, Peter Famusa, Donald Raymond Lundy, Robert Seidel, Gilbert Kaysen, Norma Trackman, Lawrence Cull, Lawrence Galen, Samuel Silverstein, Justin Major, Barbara May Garcia, John Anthony Brophy, Barbara Tresky, Hal Steinberg, Barbara Lustig, Meyer Wiener, Michael Schwartz, Sharon Eiferman, Sandra Mazer, Stephen Branch, Cantor Paul Freimark, Norma Tulls, Stephen Mark Fireman, Mason Williams, Jack Engel, Joseph Corley, Stan Lynn, Claire Scheinman, Shirley Vinitsky, Debbie Hans, Janice Lightman, Star Berkowitz, Robert Wiener, Harvey Savage, Sanford Silverberg, Sandra Smith, Harold Luboff, Edwin Schaefer, Susan Goldsmith, Ludella Woodruff, Frank Pinella, and Beverly Bass. If there's a name you'd like to add to this list, someone for whom you say Kaddish, please feel free to do so now as my glance meet your own. In all their names and all their memories, we do join together in the hallowed words of Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma tivrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kari v'imru, Yehei shemei Rabbah mivorach leolam u'olmei almaya, Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran b'alma v'imru, Yehei shloma Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Oseh shalom bimromav, v'yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
We remain standing for our closing song.
To a place you do not know. L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei Adon. Chag Sameach, everyone.
Chag Sameach.
Mazel tov to our class.